I'd like to turn it over to Karen Gallucci, Executive Director of the IEEE Foundation, to moderate this webinar. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you and welcome, everybody. My name is Karen Gallucci. I have the privilege of serving IEEE membership as the Executive Director of the IEEE Foundation. I've been the Executive Director for nearly 4 years and have been a member of the IEEE Professional Corps for more than 21 years, having worked directly with the Foundation throughout that time. It is now my privilege to introduce the IEEE Foundation leadership who are serving as our panelists today. First, I'd like to introduce John Treichler, President of the IEEE Foundation. John, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
And noted, I'm the President of the IEEE Foundation. What that means is that I'm the Chairman of the Board of the Foundation, in addition to being the President, which makes me effectively responsible for ensure the trains on time, that we oversee general board affairs, and when called upon, act as a representative to other parts of the world, the IEEE and the cosmos beyond. Background, my day job is working for a company called Raytheon Applied Signal Technology. I'm their Chief Technology Officer. And what that company does is build sophisticated communications-oriented equipment for the U.S. government and its allies. In addition to the IEEE Foundation, my roots actually go back to the IEEE. I've been doing volunteer positions, principal of the Signal Processing Society since 1978. Hard to believe, but true.
Thank you, John. Next, to introduce H. Vincent Porter, known as Vince, our Vice President of Development for the IEEE Foundation. Vince, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, thank you, Karen. Hello, everyone. As Karen mentioned, I'm the Vice President for Development of the Foundation. In this role, I chair the IEEE Foundation Development Committee. This committee is responsible for the preparation and execution of fundraising and communication plans to raise financial resources needed to support the Foundation's purposes and objectives. On my day job, I'm a professor of electrical engineering at Princeton University. I also served for 10 years as the dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences at Princeton. I've been involved as a volunteer in IEEE since 1972, when I was president of the Auburn University student branch. And since that time, I've been in quite a number of volunteer roles, including serving as president of the IEEE Information Theory Society and as a member of the IEEE Board of Directors. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Vince. And last, certainly not least, introduce Fred Mincer, our Vice President for Programs. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
I would. Thank you very much, Karen. Vice President of Programs for the IEEE Foundation. In that role, I chair the IEEE Foundation Programs Committee, which is responsible for oversight of the Foundation's rich assortment of programs. These include grants, the signature programs, many programs of benefit to students and young professionals, IEEE Move, IEEE Eta Kappa Nu, and a large number of other programs associated with funds held and managed by the Foundation. I was a research staff member at IBM's Watson Research Center, for years working on online image libraries for museums and libraries, including the Vatican Library. Since retired from IBM, but I'm still connected as an emeritus employee. I'm a longtime member of the IEEE, now a life member, and a past president of the IEEE Signal Processing Society. I'm to be an IEEE Fellow, a member of IEEE Eta Kappa Nu, and inductee in the IEEE TAB Hall of Honor.
Thanks, Fred. We're thrilled that all three of you were able to join us today, and we look forward to an interesting panel discussion. I'd like to start by focusing on some IEEE Foundation basics. I understand that many of the attendees may be being introduced to the IEEE Foundation for the very first time during this webinar. With mind, I wanted to start with some background on the foundation. John, as president, can you tell the audience a little bit about the IEEE Foundation?
Certainly, and I would love to. Let's start off in the simplest form. The IEEE Foundation is actually not the IEEE. It is a separate legal entity. That said, it is the partner of the IEEE, and the partner specifically for the IEEE's volunteers perform philanthropic activities in the U.S. throughout the world, IEEE being an international organization. Actually started in 1973 with fairly limited objectives, which was making sure that money that was donated for awards and such was cared for and spent exactly as it was intended. From a charter perspective, its official purpose is further the scientific and educational purposes of the IEEE. In just a minute, we'll tell you how we're interpreting that quite broadly now. First, though, you need to know that the Foundation, being a separate legal entity, has its own board. It has 13 members, all of whom are IEEE members, with varying technical, geographical, and professional backgrounds. In addition, we are fortunate to be supported by 10 staff members who attention to all the day-to-day stuff and make sure we volunteers don't forget what we're supposed to be doing every day. As I mentioned, the IEEE Foundation's role was to accept and administer charitable donations for awards. Over time, it became clear that IEEE members could be more generous than that and made more money available for us to do things that were good for the world and fit within the charter by which we were established. Specifically making grants to worthy projects, and more specifically projects that are actually conceived of and executed by IEEE members. So our form a catalytic function of making it possible for IEEE members to go off and do great things. Today the foundation grows and expands, and it is growing and is expanding, and it does that directly with the help of the generosity of IEEE members and the IEEE members helping us find corporations and foundations who believe that the work we are doing is worth their investment. To give you some perspective, it turns out the foundation manages more than 200 funds, each one of them established for a particular purpose. And it's up to us on the board to make sure that every dollar gets spent as it was intended by the donor.
Thank you, Joe. I'm sorry, you had a little technical difficulty when you're not working wirelessly and wires come loose during the webinar. I apologize. Thank you, John, for your answer and that insightful look into the history of the IEEE Foundation. My next question is directed to the entire panel. While clearly important to IEEE, the Foundation is sometimes unknown to its members. Can you all share how you became involved with the IEEE Foundation? Fred, I'd like to start with you.
Aaron, I became aware of the foundation when Leah Jameson was its president and was on the IEEE Board of Directors. Leah talked about the important work that the foundation was doing. She's very convincing. I began to donate and take more note of IEEE Foundation programs. Later, as a candidate for IEEE president, I found myself talking to other volunteers about the IEEE's important role in developing technology for the benefit of humanity. As into my own words, I recognized my own desire to be more involved in the Foundation's work. When the opportunity arose, I grabbed it.
Thank you, Fred, and you've been highly engaged ever since you joined the board just a short while ago. Vince, can we call upon you next to share your story?
Sure. I had, since I was a member of the IEEE board back in the early 90s, I knew about the foundation then through its work at that time. which was somewhat different, of course, from its work today. So I've known about it for probably almost 30 years, but I really got interested in its modern form through my friend Victor Lawrence, who was a member of the board and talked to me about its work. He came down to see me in Princeton, and I really got very interested in what the Foundation Board was doing. And after that, I was asked to join the board and was really delighted to do so. And since then, I've been very happy with my association with the Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince, and we're thrilled you joined. And those of you who were wondering what that was, in the United States, we did have an announcement and a FEMA call out on social media from the President of the United States for an emergency test system. So we apologize for that slight bit of noise in the background. And last but not least, I'd like to call upon John to share how he got involved with the IEEE Foundation.
Happy to. I started with the IEEE History Center. I'm extremely interested in the History Center since way back when I was a student member of the IEEE. As it became possible later on, as I got a real job and started to make a little bit of money, it became possible to offer some annual support to the History Center. And through the History Center, I figured out that there was this thing called the Foundation. And later on, as I learned more and more about it, I was asked to become involved. We already mentioned Leah Jamison, who was my predecessor as president, did a wonderful job. She was so really effective in finding interested parties and asking them to join. I have to say that while my responsibility is for all of the foundation and all of its activities, my special favorites is easy to understand now. We have a program called REACH, which we'll explain a little bit more later, which works to provide material to social studies and history teachers teaching high school kids to try to give them some idea of the interrelationship of technology and history and how technology has changed the world. So this is an indication of how one little thread of an interest can turn into being able to help with an organization that operates on a far greater scale to do good things for lots of people.
Thank you all.
And
That's, again, it's the same emergency alert testing system. So thank you all. Learn individuals become involved with the various groups and programs at IEEE, and the IEEE Foundation is always a fascinating story. As John mentioned earlier, the IEEE Foundation continues to grow in its ability to support activities of strategic importance to IEEE. Vince, can you share how the Foundation is able to support such a wide variety of programs?
Sure, happy to, Karen. So, first of all, basically we, support our programs through the generosity of IEEE members and others around the world. Last year, that involved almost 8,000 individuals who supported the Foundation. These individuals range from students all the way up to retired life members. I'm proud to say I'm one of those 8,000 supporters. Supporters are just in the United States. IEEE is a global organization, as I'm sure most of our listeners know. The support of the Foundation reflect that global reach. So one of the easiest ways to give to the Foundation, by the way, for an IEEE member, is the IEEE membership renewal. If you renew by paper, you can see IEEE Foundation funds there on the renewal form in a list that you can choose from. If you renew online, the shopping cart, that is the IEEE shopping cart, includes an option to add a donation to your transaction. In addition to individuals, of course, we have corporations and private foundations that support the Foundation as well. So, as you can see, there are quite a number of people supporting us, and we're very grateful for that support. It helps us it allows us to continue the good work that the Foundation does. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. really appreciate the role of the IEEE Foundation, it is critical to understand that all of the IEEE programs funded through the Foundation are enabled through philanthropic contributions. The other side of the equation that encourages and motivates people to give is all about the programs we support and their impact. Fred, can you share how the IEEE programs funded thanks to donations to the IEEE Foundation are transforming lives around the world?
The IEEE Smart Village program electrifies villages that previously had not had power. It stimulates development of technologies and community action that support that goal. One particular project in 2017 was done in conjunction with the Shakti Empowerment Solutions. This project combined community education with entrepreneurial business opportunities to provide rural villagers with access to clean energy and education, creating a blueprint for a scalable rollout to 10 villages in 5 years, and transforming 41 communities by 2027. Scalable solutions are very important. And today, IEEE Smart Village has empowered more than 150,000 people live in more than 100 villages around the world. The EPICS IEEE program enabled IEEE Ada Kappa New students at Wichita State University to create accessible, personalized, ride-on vehicles, enabled independent mobility for children with special needs. Go-Go cars are modified through novel engineering techniques, using such things as plastic pipes, plastic foam swim noodles, kickboards, fasteners, a toddler car seat, and an activation switch. Every car is modified based on the individual child's condition, from Down syndrome to conditions that require the aid of a ventilator. In the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, IEEE Move set up communication infrastructure for first responders and assisted the mega shelter in preparing for the arrival of more than 10,000 displaced residents. Now in service in North Carolina, aiding the recovery from Hurricane Florence. In 2017 alone, 210 IEEE Power and Energy Society Scholarship Plus program recipients were elected from nearly 600 applicants. One recipient, Cato, stated, "Be a PES scholar and recognized as a Schweitzer Memorial Scholar, had a tremendous impact on my life, both financially and professionally. The scholarship greatly reduced my financial burden, allowing me to focus on my studies and take a leadership role within Washington State University's IEEE student branch. Reach educated more than 20,000 students by providing a new lens through which students may view engineering and technology as being relevant to their lives and their future." Claudia Leone, a librarian who attended a one-day workshop, stated, "Resources can help students think about real-world applications for designing new technologies and impact of such technology on humanity." There are many more we could talk about, but I'm going to turn the conversation back to you, Karen.
Fred, for those examples. Throughout the year, I'm privileged to hear stories like what you just shared. Quite frequently, each time I get a renewed sense of pride because of the impact that our supporters are having around the world. I think each member of the IEEE Foundation team is proud of different aspects of what we are able to accomplish as we work for focus areas. I'd like to ask each of the panelists to share what impact they are most proud of. And Fred, I'm going to ask you to start.
Thank you. I'm proud of children in villages that heretofore had no power and now want to be engineers. Using technology and community service, and benefiting from scholarships that help them become tax professionals because they remind me of myself in earlier times.
Thanks, Fred. Vince, can I ask you to share your story?
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Well, you know, I'm really proud of all really that the foundation supports, but something that's really relevant to experience as an electrical engineer is IEEE Smart Village, as Fred mentioned. I think it's just a very important activity, and it's so relevant to our profession. But also, as an educator, I'm certainly tuned to the importance of REACH. I think it, you know, one of the things we lack in this country is a you know, solid education in the importance of technology and society, certainly at the secondary school level. So I'm really happy that IEEE is supporting REACH. It looks at all kinds of technologies, not only electro technologies, and I believe this is really important for not only educating the public in general, but also for building a future of informed citizens and of potential engineering students. So I think this is really a great thing to do. Anyway, I'll be talking a little bit more about these later, and we already heard, of course, Fred talking about them, but I think these are the things that I'm most proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. We do have a lot to be proud of. Finally, John, can you share your perspectives? I think you may have given us a little bit of foreshadowing.
Actually, I'm going to surprise you a little bit. Yes, I've already told you that I personally have a really soft spot for REACH. REACH is one of our newer programs that is in the growing phase, and it's going to have ever more impact in the future, I believe. What I wanted to highlight for a minute is one that has been really quite successful in a classical engineering sense. As an engineer, I love it when a perceived, a solution is designed, and then it is well executed. By talking about the specific program I was going to mention was the effort between the IEEE PS Society and the Foundation provide scholarships for young engineers. The background for this is power engineers there were a lot of them trained in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Many of them are retiring and leaving the field, and the industry realized that it was going to be short of young, hardworking engineers to move ahead power and energy in general over the next couple of decades. So the IEEE Society membership rose up and said, let's do something about this, work with us, and there and another roughly 200 to 300 young engineers are working in the field already because of the scholarship program. So there's many ways to measure impact, but there's one. You know, a problem recognized, a problem addressed, and clear success in progress. I love two, of course, but that's one I have to highlight as I mean exactly as we planned.
Thanks for your answers. It is truly inspiring to hear all these stories. We have heard about the impact of the IEEE Foundation today. What will the impact of the future be? I'd like to ask John to answer that question.
Sure. As we talked about at the very beginning, roughly 5 years ago, again, we've called out Leah Jameson's leadership as a clear indication of this. She, working with Karen, mapped out the future and took the foundation off in the direction of trying to do more. It's not that we thought the previous ideas were bad. In fact, they were good. We just needed to do more. And the way to do that was to enlist the IEEE members to come up with great ideas, but also to look to the membership for donations, and also look for outside donations in order to, as I say, to be able to do more. One of the things we're doing right now in order to really put that into high gear is we, several years ago, organized a campaign we called the Realize the Full Potential of IEEE. We're engineers, so we're pretty literal about our objectives. So that's the name of the campaign. with the goal to raise $30 million by IEEE Day in the year 2020, which you can do the math, that's about 4 years from now. To date, believe it or not, we've raised more than 50%, actually something like 54, 55% of that goal, which is more than $16 million. This campaign will shape the future because it allows us to combine the ideas and the hard work, the feet on the ground of the IEEE members to go accomplish great things. The IEEE happens to be committed to using its size and influence to meet pressing national and global challenges. The IEEE membership appears to be quite interested in helping achieve that with the help of their partner, the IEEE Foundation. So we have incredible potential. We're just working on 4 major, what we call signature programs right now, but there will be more in the future as great ideas come forward and we figure out ways to support them financially so they can go be executed as good engineers would.
Thank you, John, for bringing up the campaign. Then, Vice President of Development, can you tell us a bit more about the campaign?
Sure, I'm happy to elaborate on what John already told you. First of all, the campaign was publicly launched in February of this year. It's the first initiative of its kind in the IEEE, so we're trying something new here. Many of the world's most pressing challenges require innovations in engineering. I'm sure all of the listeners will agree with that. Additionally, the need for engineers, other STEM professionals, and engineering students increasing globally as important work for technologists increases. The Foundation is embarked on the campaign, Realize the Full Potential of IEEE campaign, in order to solve these problems or to help solve these problems. So these challenges are daunting and solvable. We believe that as engineers. IEEE itself is committed to playing a full role on these problems. So IEEE has identified a number of strategically important initiatives that will help meet the pressing global challenges cited above, and some of them you've heard about already, but I'm going to elaborate a bit on those. The strategically important initiatives include the following. First of all, expand access to electricity, communication, and computers across the developing world. We heard about this already, but I'll just remind the listeners. So over the last 5 years, IEEE has brought safe, clean, affordable, and sustainable electricity to remote villages in Africa, East Asia, and the Caribbean as part of the innovative IEEE Smart Village initiative pioneered by IEEE volunteers, staff, and benefactors. Another important initiative is working with students to solve challenges through engineering. IEEE works with tens of thousands of students a year in high schools and universities around the world through EPICS program, Engineering Projects and Community Services. EPICS IEEE is especially skilled at working with students and local service organizations to solve community challenges through the application of engineering and technology. Another important initiative has to do with transformational scholarships. So with direct access to hundreds of elite universities, tens of thousands of schools, the IEEE is uniquely positioned to help design and promote transformational scholarship programs. Another initiative is bringing the importance of engineering to a wide audience in more dynamic ways. You heard John just talking about this. The intertwined relationship between engineering and humanity is undeniable, with engineering and technology influencing our world socially, economically, politically, and culturally throughout history. IEEE REACH illuminates the intersection of these relationships with special designed teaching packages for secondary school history classes, providing teachers the tools to bring the history of technology to life in the classroom. Another important initiative that you heard John mention earlier has to do with preserving our history. So preserving and promoting the history of technology, the profession of IEEE is a privilege, a duty, and a calling of the IEEE History Center, which the IEEE History Center takes very seriously. Through its many targeted programs, the Center collects disseminates information and resources that exemplify the impact and influence of technology and its relationship, past and present, to society. Personally, as a professor here at Princeton, I've made great use of the materials provided by the IEEE History Center, and so the staff have actually lectured in my classes. A major initiative is expanding IEEE's Global Awards Program, and with recognition of engineering excellence comes the broadening of the IEEE brand. So IEEE is committed to a portfolio of awards designed to enhance the reputation of the society and members by the luminance of the recipients. I've had the privilege of attending a number of IEEE honor ceremonies where these awards, many of these awards are given, and it's really very inspiring to see the things that some of our colleagues have done. Another important strategic initiative is leveraging the strong IEEE Eta Kappa Nu connection. IEEE Eta Kappa Nu influences the world with current student chapters and members in more than 100 countries. So rapidly growing student chapter base, achievement recognized by this society connects academic success to the values of attitude, character, and scholarship. Upon attaining this recognition, Eta Kappa Nu members share a special bond for life. It said the foundation is looking to raise $30 million in order to accomplish the above, and we're more than halfway there, and I'm very happy about that. So thank you, Karen.
Realize the full potential of IEEE campaign is truly one of the most exciting moments of my IEEE career, and is definitely poised to make a significant difference on the face and the impact of IEEE. Expanding on the campaign, I'd like to ask the panelists why choose to support the IEEE Foundation in the campaign. I'll start with.
Thank you, Karen. I come from a family of regular, hardworking people, but done very well through my employment in the tech industry. I think that technology gives us the ability to develop truly scalable solutions for the benefit of humanity. The Foundation's campaign gives me an especially effective way to pay it forward.
Thank you, Fred. Vince, can you share next, please?
Well, as we've heard, very ones of us speaking about, I mean, the foundation supports an array of incredibly important activities. And I'm proud of all of them, as I said before, and I'm particularly proud to be able to provide what I can to help these activities go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Fine, John, can I ask you to share why you support the campaign?
Why, certainly. Let's face it, I'm an engineer, okay? It's just true. Who know me will roll their eyes and say, yep, absolutely. Because I'm an engineer, I like well-designed solutions, the ones that are going to be efficient. So I ask you this, where can you combine the following three things in the best way possible? Assume that you can raise some money from the membership and others who agree that your objectives are good. You have great ideas, okay, provided by some of the smartest people in the universe. That would be members of the IEEE. And further, we have 420,000 members of the IEEE, many of whom are interested in putting their own time and energy in making these things come true. So it's an incredible combination that we ought to be able to do great things with, and therefore I think my personal contributions to the IEEE Foundation are a great investment in the future, and I really like that idea.
Thank you all, and I'm pleased to also share that I too, along with my husband, support the IEEE Foundation's campaign in an unrestricted manner because I get the privilege of seeing day in and day out the impact we're having. I appreciate all of you sharing this information with us today. This is the final discussion point before the Q&A session. I ask this question to Fred. Fred, how can attendees on today's webinar get involved with the IEEE Foundation and the campaign?
There are many ways. The simplest way to support the foundation and the campaign is make a donation at IEEE.org/donate. To follow the IEEE Foundation on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and IEEE Collaboratech. Following this webinar, attendees will receive an email with links and a survey. They also share IEEE Foundation news with their local IEEE units. They sign up to receive IEEE Foundation campaign updates. The details on that in the follow-up email. It would be helpful if they could get a campaign article into a publication sponsored or published by their IEEE unit. Did I say the donation? This is the most direct and efficient way to make an impact and change lives around the world. Again, IEEE.org/donate.
Thanks, Fred, for that great answer. At this point, I'm going to turn the mic over to Rich Allen to begin our Q&A section of the webinar.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you much for all the panelists for the answers today. I have a few questions that came in chat, so I just want to share those with the panelists. The first question comes from Matt. It is, as a student member, an IEEE student member, what is the appropriate contribution amount to the IEEE Foundation? I think maybe we should direct this one to Vince as Vice President of Development.
That's really hard to say. I mean, it depends a lot on what is available. I hate to give a dollar amount because, you know, everyone's finances are different. I think that what I would suggest is that you give he's capable of giving, maybe a little more than he's capable of giving. I should say that as the VP Development. And you know, to do that when he renews his IEEE membership, and just to get in the habit of doing that every year, and as he becomes a professional member, you know, to up the report as he can comfortably do so. So I hope it's a good enough answer. Again, I don't want to put a dollar amount on it because I don't want to discourage any contribution, and I certainly think just the habit, as a student, just beginning the habit of contributing is probably as important as the actual dollars that you contribute.
Great. Thanks for that answer. Another question that came in here is, the IEEE Foundation provide any grants or funds to IEEE units? The question might be appropriate for Fred as VP Programs to answer. Go ahead.
Yes, indeed, the Foundation runs a grants program. Grant applications are accepted from IEEE organizational units that fit the annual theme, with projects that fit that annual theme. The theme was enable IEEE programs that enhance technology, access, literacy, and education. This grant cycle closed in July. It's expected to reopen early in 2029. Check the grants webpage, IEEEFoundation.org/grants for updates on the grants program.
Thank you, Fred. And aware of how were awarded as part of the 2017 grants program?
In 2017, a total of $253,000 was awarded to 9 projects as part of the 2017 grants program.
Great. Very impressive. Thank you. John, I think this question will be directed towards you. One of the things you specifically mentioned was about the preservation of the history of electrical engineering. What role does the IEEE Foundation play with that?
I'm going to answer that, but first I'm going to go back and help Vince with his answer, if that's okay. I would like to point out to student members and young professional members of the IEEE that money is great. Of course, we encourage you to donate. Getting involved is also important. Think of the ways you can contribute in terms of time and energy to make programs happen, come up with good ideas, bring them forward. It may be we can well go out and fundraise to help make those activities happen, where your contribution is the creativity and the energy, and not just the money. As Vince pointed out, being chair of the VP of Development, of course, we would like to raise money because it makes the world go round, and there are things you have to buy. But the IEEE's main contribution philosophically is creativity and energy toward the world's best interest. Now, going to history for a moment, yes, because it is a favorite of mine. The History Center is something that's been with the IEEE for a very long time, and it's been one of the interests of the foundation for almost an equal amount of time to make sure that the History Channel can do, the History Center can do the things it does. Let me point out that one of the things it does is capture oral histories, so that the history of the development of the technology of electrical and electronics engineering captured for all time. It goes out and captures physical artifacts that would otherwise be lost as companies close up and move on and things like that. It views itself in a more faceted way to capture the history, done it, and then make it available to not just IEEE members, but everybody who, for one reason or another, including history teachers in high school through REACH, can have the advantage of that forward-leaning, backward gathering effort to capture our history and the impact it's made on the world. So back to you, Rich.
Thank you, John. I'm actually going to pose it to our moderator, Karen. Question: can an EPICS and IEEE project be implemented at the school level, or is it restricted to the college or university level?
EPICS and IEEE program, which is a program of IEEE educational activities, is actually designed as a three-part grouping with university students working collaboratively with a high school group to implement a project for a local NGO's need to address a community challenge for the community in the community. In addition, the EPICS and IEEE program is looking to expand to include a K-12 component. They're currently piloting that in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States, and Baltimore, Maryland, where we have volunteers on the ground that are helping primarily in K-8 United States programs. Our ability to expand that program worldwide is simply limited by our availability of funds to do so.
Great answer, Karen. Another question that has come through to natural disasters happening around the world, and that is that how has the IEEE Foundation been involved in any response to natural disasters that have happened over the past few years? Fred, as Vice President of Programs, you'd be able to field this question?
Yes, well, the vehicle, this is a truck with some power generation equipment, the ability to charge cell phones and computers, and to deliver communications abilities, communication connection. The move truck was deployed last year in a number of occasions, in the Southeast. But beyond that, the IEEE helped with the disaster recovery in Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria. The name of the program was Juntos Pedimos. It used the local volunteers to distribute solar lanterns for a number of people. It also provided a number of small power stations with power generation that again could help people charge cell phones so they could remain in communication. It had small refrigerators that could be used to cool medicine. This year, the move truck is currently in North Carolina, helping with disaster recovery for Hurricane Florence. Many of these have similar technological underpinnings that really draw on the expertise of our colleagues in the IEEE Power and Energy Society.
Thanks, Fred. Question that I think is appropriate for you. We had a question come in asking for between the IEEE Foundation and IEEE Smart Grid Initiative. Are you able to answer that, Fred?
I'm not sure I can answer it comprehensively, but, and maybe I shouldn't try, because I'm not very familiar with the connection there. Karen, do you know of a connection that I might not know of?
I'd be too. So the IEEE Foundation is IEEE's philanthropic partner. Our role is to inspire donors to invest in IEEE programs. Whereas the IEEE Smart Grid Initiative is a technical community that resides within the technical activity space, and they convene groups and disseminate information on the smart grid. The question was also related to the IEEE Smart Village Initiative, which is the program that is working to bring electrification, education, and entrepreneurial opportunities to the 1.1 billion people around the world who live without electricity. There's a program of that the IEEE Foundation directly raises money to enable. So the IEEE is investing in that program and helping to grow it, and its volunteers as well as a small staff do support it. It depends on philanthropic giving to the IEEE Foundation to be able to impact communities around the world. And currently they have about 150,000 people they've helped in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia, and there are certainly more needs than we have funds available at this point, and we are continuing to raise funds to expand our ability to bring light, education, and entrepreneurial opportunities to locations.
And after ducking this question, if I might get in and add a little bit more, the Power and Energy Society Scholarship Plus program was inspired in part by the need and the impending shortage of smart grid skills in the power and energy space. That was part of the motivation for beginning that scholarship program, and so there is that link as well.
Thank you to Karen and Fred on that. Time for one more question. So this question relates to IEEE Smart Village. The question is, I had recently seen of IEEE Smart Village being featured on a television program. Panel, maybe Fred, back to you on this as programs expert here. Talk a little bit about where IEEE Smart Village was featured.
There's an excellent National Geographic special entitled Power to the People that was presented at least once on the National Geographic channel, but not presented often enough. So it's likely that that information was seen there. Times when we've also received the permission to use this in IEEE meetings, and that's perhaps another place where the caller could have.
Great, thank you so much for that answer. At this point, to make sure that we can end on time, we're going to cut off the question and answer period. If you have any other questions, feel free to enter them into the chat or email donate@IEEE.org, and we can respond directly to your questions. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Karen Gallucci to close the webinar.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you all for attending our first ever webinar. I hope you found it informative and you learned a little bit something about the role of the IEEE Foundation within the IEEE's ecosystem and the opportunities that present themselves for you to get involved. Thank you so much for attending, and we will be sharing this on social media so you can share it forward to your friends. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much to our panelists for sharing their time with us today to share their stories about the IEEE Foundation. All.
Thanks for the opportunity.